Please be seated. I want you to start this time by thinking of a blessing in your life. Something you feel really blessed to have in your life. Got it?
Yep.
Now, how many of you were grateful for being poor in spirit? How many of you were grateful for the blessing of grief? How about the blessing of hunger and thirst for righteousness? The feeling of emptiness in your soul? How many of those blessings that you thought of were about being persecuted? Or about people not seeing you? Or falsely accusing you of not seeing who you are? How'd you do?
0.
0 for 0. So, Jesus brings a different set of blessings. We need to transform our understanding of blessings. Our blessings are never really about what we have that others do not have. Ever. Our blessings are about our humanity, our feeling, the depth of our heart and soul. There may never be a true meeting of the minds. An ideology is not where healing will happen. There needs to be a meeting of the hearts, which requires courage to go deeper into our vulnerability. The meeting place for all humanity is to embrace how human we are. The problem is not that God doesn't get it, that God has not truly become incarnate in our lives. The problem is we have not become incarnate into our lives. We haven't shown up to ourselves in the reality of our story and the complexity of who we are as messy human beings. God didn't come to find out what it's like to be human. Jesus came to show us how to be human in all of his vulnerability. His honesty, humility, vulnerability must be embraced as a passageway to all that good stuff. And there is good stuff. The kingdom of heaven, being comforted, inheriting the earth, being filled, receiving mercy, seeing God, being called children of God. The kingdom, the great rewards that will come from those passageways. But you got to go through the passageways. And we all have them, whether we repress them or suppress them, they're there. So this reading today, do you know what it's called?
The Beatitudes.
The Beatitudes, what it's also called? Wrong. Gotcha.
So much for volunteering answers.
I would have said it was a Sermon on the Mount, but it is not. Because Matthew has a recount of Jesus actually preaching the similar sermon on a mountain.
This is the Sermon on the Plain.
Luke has him preaching on a plain. This is Sermon on the Plain.
Gotcha.
Now, Matthew was very hierarchical. He would have put Jesus higher up somewhere, even in terms of geography. Matthew would have loved those New England pulpits.
Yeah.
Where the preacher has to climb around and around and around until he's so high. He said, look at the people down there.
That's
Luke
what we-
has Jesus on the level, eye to eye, face to face, suffering to suffering, a true sharing of our joint humanity, a connection, no hierarchy, just who we are. Now, the implication that true spirituality, which emerges out of our empathy and connection, our deep connection with each other, and that connection is not a mental one, but a connection of heart, which seem to imply that to be a saint is nothing like the way we understand a saint. A saint is not someone set apart, someone higher, someone that did a little better than we did. But a saint is about being on the level, being real, being true, being connected, having hearts that are available to share with others. Here's another question. How many times does the word saint appear in the Bible? Rough guess.
Never. Never.
Good.
That one right.
It is only expressed in the plural. Saints is found everywhere in the Bible, but nowhere is anyone special.
Yes.
Sainthood has to do with a connection. And unfortunately, the church has radically distorted that. Someone, otherworldly gets named a saint. But the reality is that saints, as the New Testament understands it, is always about the community, eye to eye, level with each other. All of it, we're always in it together. We are saints. Individually, not so much. Together, yes. We are not alone. We discover that when we understand our broken hearts as a blessing and we find a safe place to unburden ourselves with our true humanity, we have become those saints. It's called All Saints' Day, not Some Saints' Day. I take it at its word. All saints. All of you. Every last one of you. Saints. Carl Jung said, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. Loneliness is rarely about empty rooms. It is about carrying words you cannot say and truths you do not feel safe to share. Not being vulnerable. This is the work of letting yourself be seen and known for who you really are. Or as Maya Angelou so beautifully put it, the greatest agony is a story left untold. How we withhold our stories from each other. How we withhold our grief, our struggle, our humanity from each other. But blessed are you when you're in it. Blessed are you. You are not alone. We are not alone when we show up to who we are and what our story is really about. Hopefully some of you were able to glance up during the opening hymn and see what was happening. This year, St. John's lost 10 saints. And a candle was processed for each one of them. That's not going it alone. That's walking together, carrying light for each other. Our church believes in the mystical communion with the saints. It's a foundational principle that it continues, this mystical connection, energy. I mean, even the smartest mathematicians say there are more than 10 dimensions mathematically. We know 4, right? Length, height, width, time. We know the 5th dimension only as a musical group. But what about the other dimensions? We don't have a clue. The way the energy functions in this world. We believe in the communion of saints. And that doesn't come out of a nice idea. It comes out of a profound experience that people have with that level of communion with those who have gone before. So I'm going to ask you another question. The saint, or the saints that you're thinking of today, given where you are right now in your life, listen. What would they tell you? What word do they have for you? What would they say? Anybody want to share with someone? Yes. What's that? Persevere. Wow. That's great.
Behave yourself.
How are you doing with that, Kathy? Pardon? Love. Unconditional love. They speak to us. Maybe they say things like, forgive me. Or, I forgive you. The whole package of our emotional life and families. That can still happen. Forgiveness, healing can still happen. I think of, I've been so blessed being here for so long and knowing so many saints. It's hard to pick lessons out from them because I get lessons from all of them. But I have to share a couple. One is from Jim Glass. Some of you may remember him, but an amazing Presbyterian minister who came here in his retirement, a very accomplished Presbyterian scholar, actually. And he, on his deathbed, he got weak. He wasn't able to speak, barely able to speak. And I was sitting with him, and his daughter came in, visiting from out of town, determined that she would never leave his side. But Jim overheard that her friends had invited her out to dinner just to get a break. And Jim beckoned her closer because his voice was almost non-existent. And I was able to hear him say these words to her in the way that Jim only could do. Get out while you can. That is great advice. All of us should get out while we can. And when his wife, Cherie, passed away, we put her favorite phrase on a banner, which we still have. We put it out for Easter. It just simply says, hallelujah anyways. And don't we want to kind of say that right now? Everything that's going on? Let's say it. Hallelujah anyways. This is the wisdom of the community, of our vulnerability. Today, we celebrate the saints in our lives, who remind us that we too are saints, ordained by our vulnerable hearts, hearts which, when shared, create a community on the level, a community that sees each other eye to eye and feels each other heart to heart, a community where our deepest story can be told and will continue to unfold.